No, but we did now. Thanks, Dana.
Thank you. So disclaimer, this meeting is now being recorded. And for those that may have missed the first couple of minutes of this meeting, please go ahead and check out our YouTube channel. We have put together like a tutorial of our preschool promise application for you guys to go ahead and go over it and just see if there's any questions. So as we mentioned, this is a non-competitive type of application. It is a pretty short and sweet application. We really need to go ahead and identify, do you want to continue, the number of sites, the number of slots, and then some assurances. There is a threshold, and two of the big important like pieces to our threshold for continuation is going to be the ability to go ahead and meet the insurance requirements for preschool promise. So that is you guys all have the different requirements and the different types and when do they apply. So super important. We will not be able to go ahead and enter into an executed agreement unless there is proof that you as a grantee are able to go ahead and meet the insurance requirements. There's also a licensing component to those grantees who are required to be licensed. So Angela's going to talk more about that. So just remember, insurance, licensing, submit your application by the due date. Um, so one thing to go ahead and remember, if we do not get the application by the due date, you're pretty much relinquishing your preschool promise slot. So May 21st, 11:59, please remind your other colleagues, remind yourselves, but it's super important that we get that application. So Angela, take it away there.
Thanks. So, yeah, as part of the threshold that Dana mentioned, we are looking at everyone's licensing records over the past 2 years. And so the threshold that was developed and approved is that if a grantee has fewer than 3 serious valids and no open child abuse and neglect assessments or civil penalties, they've met the requirement and no further review is needed. If a grantee does not meet that threshold, we are using an internal committee to review the concerns and make a recommendation to ELD leadership on whether to continue or discontinue the grant agreement. The primary question here is, of course, whether children are, whether or not the program is maintaining a safe and healthy environment for children, and also trying to look at this process through the equity lens about whether continuing or discontinuing the agreement would promote equity for programs and families enrolled or not.
Hey,
And
Angela.
kudos, yes?
Sorry, this is Michael. Do you want to make me a co-host? I think there's some people to be let in and maybe some muting help. I'm just happy to help if that's useful.
Thanks, Michael. I'll just pause my screen really quick so that I can let them in. Thanks. Dana?
Now it's on mute there. So one overarching question is like, where is the grant manual for the next program year, which is going to be our 2021-2022 program year. That's still in the final stages internally to be reviewed. We have a process that we have to go through with our procurement department, with DOJ, and all of that like process internally. So it's not yet ready for distribution. One thing to go ahead and know is that you're submitting your preschool promise application. We're going to go ahead and do our threshold and analysis and all of that. But then once we make the announcement, which our target to go ahead and release the list of preschool promise grantees for next program year is June the 8th, is that when we send out the grant agreement, you're going to get a copy of the grant manual. So it's really at that point where you're looking at the grant manual, you're looking at the grant agreement, and then you decide as a grantee, do I want to go ahead and sign up to go ahead and be a preschool promise grantee? So there is that time for you to go ahead and go through it. Our hope is that we can go ahead and get that ready for distribution so we can go ahead and make that available and you have a little bit more time. But just remember, when we announce on June the 8th, that's when we go ahead and send out the grant agreement along with the grant manual for you to be able to review along with your other colleagues internally, and then really decide like, is this the moment for us to go ahead and sign our preschool promise grant at that point. Now, there is, some exciting thing this program year is that we are going to have this preschool promise summer grant. right? So we've been getting a lot of questions like, can I start early, for next program year, or can I actually go ahead and continue on my program given everything that has occurred with the world? So the answer, like your solution to that is like our program or next year program, you have to start by no earlier than August 1st and no later than September the 30th. If you want to go ahead and participate or be able to offer services to children during the summer, then highly suggest you to go ahead and apply for summer early learning grant. You're not required as a grantee to apply for that. That is totally optional, but that grant does give you the opportunity to start early or continue your preschool promise program during the summer month. One thing that, as you may be noticing with like the start day and the hours, is that we are moving towards an alignment with that K-12, kind of like what is a regular school year. So that, that's some of the reasons why you're seeing some of these changes. But definitely, as far as you being able to start early or continue the program, please take a look at the summer grant, and it's not a requirement for you to apply for that grant either. Okay.
Oops.
Awesome. Now, another question that has come up, we're super excited that people are reading the assurances because those are super important, is as far as the daily schedule. The majority of our programs offer more than 6 hours in a daily, and we're talking about the daily schedule, not that total amount of hours a day. So we are moving towards a 6 hour daily requirement. And we know that some of you, which is very few, may need a little bit of technical assistance on like, how do I do a longer day? How do I embed like nap time and staffing and all that? Definitely that is something that our CCRNRs can go ahead and help you think through. And then please go ahead and send us your questions if you have any questions as far as like how does this look like for next program year? We want to be responsive. That some of you may need some technical assistance when it comes to that. Okay, next. Another question is, will there be an increase in funding? Right now, as with previous years, it's like, we still have to go through legislation and get that all approved. So right now, our guidance is that you should be planning with the same amount of funding that you use for this program year, which is the $12,000 per child, and then then the enhancement for transportation if you are a grantee that has been receiving transportation. And then, should I fill out the application if I don't plan to continue? Please do. We like to be able to capture who, for whatever reason, does not want to continue with their preschool promise grant. It also does give us the opportunity to work with our local early learning hubs as far as like any children that may continue on to next year that need to go ahead and get transferred over to another program. So please, and then we love to know why. You will be opting out of preschool promise. So please fill that out, even if your plan is not to continue for next program year. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our grants and ops to go ahead and talk about some of those budget grant requirements that you need to go ahead and keep in mind as you're planning for next program year. So,
Hi,
Antonio?
hi everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for being part of this webinar. My name is Antonio, and I'm a program grants manager. So yeah, there are some adjustments that we are making. So the requirements for allocating that 2.5% of budget towards professional development has been removed. All other requirements regarding professional development still apply. To ensure proper spending in accordance with the grant manual, expenditure reports will be submitted on a monthly basis now. So yeah, those are the changes that we are implementing this next program year. And as to why, the responsive to grantee sentiment that a 2.5% may not be appropriate for every program's professional development spending. So definitely we took into consideration that and able to reconcile claims and expenditures on a more consistent basis. So, we are now wanting to see what the expenses are on that monthly basis. Yeah. Oh, I think you're muted, Dana.
I am. So it's 3:24, so we're doing really good on time here. So really some big takeaways is that if you have any questions in regards to your application or not sure how to answer a certain question, please feel free to call us. We're available. We have our helpline available Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. English and Spanish, or we have our language line as well if other languages are needed. And then we have our email. So please send us the email. We know that while the application is short and sweet, there's still lots of questions on what the implementation looks like. So please email us your questions. Don't wait till the last minute. We do have a team that's looking at those emails regularly, and then we're capturing all of the, an FAQ document to continue to go ahead and address those questions there. So that is, and like I said, we cannot stress enough, please submit your application on time, May 21st, 11:59 p.m. It's just super important, and please reach out to us if you are needing any help. Use our YouTube channel. You have the tutorial. It's a bilingual YouTube video that takes you through the application and can answer some other questions. We've also included an FAQ document that also includes some questions that I'm assuming we're going to be adding, because we're getting lots of questions as far as like what the implementation looks like. So Angela.
Yeah, I think unless Crystal, there's like a very quick clarifying question we can answer really quick, I think we'll close out.
Sorry, I was on mute. I have been capturing all of the questions. I haven't seen a repeat of too many, so we will be getting back to you as soon as possible.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.